It's usually the case. He's usually making those noises. Welcome to EndorphasMIC, where we talk about all things endorphasm. I am your hostess, Erica Porter. Today, I have not one, not two, but three Carlos here in studio. Generation 1, 2, and 3. Carlo 1, Carlo 2, and Carlo 3. Well, really, technically, let me fix that. Carlo 2, Carlo 3, and Carlo 4.
Right. Carlo 1 could not be with us.
Carlo 1 could not be with us. The flight was too expensive.
Yes.
Although we would have loved to have had him.
Oh boy.
So, I want to talk about the endorphasm mindset as it pertains to crossing. It doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter your fitness level. It does. Are you covering? Do you see your finger in the camera on that side?
I do not. Would you like me to put my finger?
That's the Zoom.
No.
That's the.
I would not. But this is going to be great because it's going to be really off the cuff. We want to talk about the endorphasm mindset. So we have spoken to Carlo the Fourth about how he feels the endorphasm mindset has served him playing sports, has served him in school, and has served him in life. Really, the man with the most wisdom here in the room right now. The second of the Carlos, I would like his interpretation or his input or his particular mindset, where we talked about the endorphasm mindset is really being able to connect the experience of how we move and our ability to connect mind and body in a very powerful way, and how he is a golfer. He is a baseball player. He is a golfer. Or I already said golfer, basketball player. He's done a little bit in the Army. And so I know that he has a skier. There are many, I mean.
He's a raconteur, I think, too.
Yes. So there are a lot of aspects of life that I'm sure that he has, even though he might not have defined it as the endorphasm mindset, that is in fact what it is. So I'm going to let him take over this podcast and talk to us a little bit about wisdom and the mindset.
Have you been keeping up with the podcasts?
I have. I've heard not all, but most of them.
So are you schooled in the endorphasm mindset? You feel qualified to comment on it at this point?
I think I am qualified, yes. And I appreciate listening to the podcast because they gave me a sense of explaining what I felt most of my life, but didn't know I was experiencing it. So it was very, very helpful because I'm closing in on 80 and I don't want to give it up. So what I like to do is I like to do everything I did before, but of course I can't do it to the same extent, but I can do it. So I keep trying to do all the things. Erica says I play baseball. Well, I really don't play baseball anymore, but I toss the ball around. I try and get up and bat with my grandchildren if I get a chance. And if I had a team to play with, I'd love to do that. Basketball. I don't really play basketball anymore because I can't find too many guys that are my age that want to play basketball, and the young kids basically run me off the court. But I do get to the gym, and when I get to the gym several times a week, I shoot baskets. And if there's anybody there, young people especially, I try and mix in with them and get myself going. And I try to do that if I get a chance to go skiing with my grandchildren. I like to do that. Golfing is easy because golfing is a sport built for older people. But in each of the things I do, I try and I like to relate them because I think that's what Eric has asked me to do, relate it to the endorphasm experience. The experience that I get is I connect and feel myself almost, not like I was a young kid again, but I feel myself getting to a place where my mind was when I was a young kid, where I can do stuff and I don't feel like I can fly like I used to feel I could fly. But I do feel like I can do things and it kind of turns me on. I get very excited. I remember telling Erica this story. I must have been 12 or 13 years old playing in downtown Manhattan. I was born and raised in Greenwich Village, New York, Manhattan. And we had a park across the street, and there were literally hundreds of kids that played in the park. And you played shoes up. And if you were good, you played. And if you weren't, you better get better because you'd have to sit it out and wait. And once so many kids, different age groups, I was in the younger age group. I was about, I guess, maybe 8th grade. It was before high school. And we were playing pretty good basketball. And the older group organized a basketball tournament. And in that tournament, they had different levels, the youngest and then the next group and the next group, some intermixing, but pretty much by age. But we were very good at a young age. There was a group of guys that had just moved into the local bar on the corner, and they were smoking and they were drinking, and we weren't. We were young kids. And we played basketball. We had been playing basketball every day, all day, no matter what. We just loved it. In fact, I used to go down from the apartment house after it got dark, climb the fence and shoot baskets, because they locked the park, shoot baskets under the streetlights so I could get better to play. Anyway, the Endorphasm story comes in when we're playing in this tournament, and Charlie Timponi, may he rest in peace, was one of the fellas from the neighborhood. And we were running up and down, running up and down, running up and down, playing basketball. And I was just loving it like I loved every minute of it. And I was in the zone. I didn't know you called it endorphasm, but I was flying. I loved it. I wanted to do this all day, and I just loved doing it. I loved the way, and I didn't even think of the way I felt. I just loved it. It's impossible for me to explain it. Anyway, during one of the moments in a break, Charlie was gasping for his breath and hanging on the fence and said, "Don't you ever get tired?" And I looked at him and I said, "Of playing basketball?" He said, "No, just tired." And I looked and I said, I searched my at the time, my very small memory bank and said, "Does not compute. I don't know what the hell you're talking about." No, I never get tired. And when Eric and I were discussing, I said, "I guess that's the endorphasm thing. You're rolling, you're in it, you're feeling it." And I really felt like I could do this all day. In fact, if I want right now, I can fly. And you just get to the point where you don't want to stop. You want to keep going, you want to keep moving, and you want to feel like you can fly. I just loved it. And I still do. Now, I'm older, but I still, I don't like it. I don't like when I'm down for a pulled muscle or I'm down for some medical issue and I have to refrain from doing my activities. I don't like being sedate. I don't like just sitting there. It's not good for me physically. It's not good for me mentally. It's not that I get depressed. I'm not inclined to depression, but it kind of I feel flat. So when I'm physically sound, which I usually try to maintain a physically sound condition, I love getting in the middle of it. I love to get in the gym, and as I say, I gravitate towards the younger folks. And if I can get in there, most of them are pretty agreeable, and I get in there and I find myself getting turned on again, and I find myself getting that feeling, and that feeling is just such a high for me. I just love it, and most importantly, when I'm finished with it, I feel so great that I was there again, and in my head, it's just rolling. It keeps going, which in essence makes me feel younger, makes me feel better, and looking forward to the next day. So that's my relationship to endorphasm. I didn't know I had it. I didn't know why I was doing all these things. I just know I loved doing it, and I know I felt great doing it, and it made me a better human being, and I just love it.
Do you feel also that in those moments and when you were able to be more active, that you find yourself more productive as a person when you're able to do that?
Absolutely, in everything that I do. More able to perform as a person, whether it's as a father, as a husband, as a grandfather, a nephew, and whatever. I just have so much more patience. I'm so much more together because I feel that I've accomplished something, and I feel like, yeah, I feel good with myself. I feel like I'm together. And then I can put up with all of the nonsense that the world may throw at us. And every once in a while, you got some stuff being thrown. And I look at it a different way. I just feel good. I feel up, and I feel strong mentally as well as physically, yes.
And that's the endorphasm mindset that really I try to encourage people to connect to the feeling, because the feeling is incredibly powerful. I think that in this day and age, and I know it's existed since the beginning of time, we have a tendency of being a very aesthetically oriented society in which the emphasis of movement is solely based on how you do or you don't look. And I think that if people's focus is solely on what they do or they don't look like, movement is disappointing. And it's disappointing because your objective with movement is for something that is constantly going to be changing. I look at myself, and over the years, one, having been pregnant, going through everything that I've gone through in the last year, my body has changed a great deal. And what I'm capable of doing versus what I was able to do maybe even 3 years ago has changed. But when I can really connect to that feeling for me is powerful, and it goes beyond what my body could ever look like. I don't think that there's ever a person when our time has come that said, yeah, I really wish I looked great in that bathing suit, or I really wish that, I had been 20 pounds lighter. And I really think that, I've spoken before that time is the equalizer amongst all men and women. That's what we have. And that's what makes us human, really. So when you can connect to how powerful that feeling is, and when you can connect to how powerful the body is and how capable we are, it allows us to go through life and be that much more powerful and that much more capable and really that much more energetic. It allows us to perform at a level that I don't think people who don't connect to that can really. I think I look at people who've been successful, I'm thinking, wow, they really could be even more successful, or it would have been easier in some capacity if they were able to connect to that. And I look at, especially when you look at athletes and all the things that they're able to accomplish off the field as well. And I think because they understand that endorphasm mentality. I know for you, it's been incredibly powerful, and you have a lot that you were able to tap into in that endorphasm mindset and understanding the connection with mind and body 2 times in a fire department, going through the academy as the oldest individual twice in an academy, and outperformed everyone in that academy. And not just performance on a physical level, but you outperform them on an academic level as well. And it's not because you necessarily are smarter than anybody else that was there. You understood that mindset, that endorphasm mindset. So without leading you with your answer, I'd just like you to kind of answer as to what the endorphasm mindset means to you, Carlo III.
Well, those things do go hand in hand, and I learned that a long time ago. I learned that when I was, I forget exactly what age it was, but 16 or 17, I separated my shoulder on my BMX bike, and I was in Sportorama doing rehab, and they put me in the weight room, and at that time, I was in school, and I guess I was a little bit older because I was in college at the time, so I was a little bit older. But anyway, being in the weight room started to get me to understand that connection. That when I'm in the weight room and working out, the success that I recognize there, the feeling that I get there, the endorphasm, the endorphin rush, the hormonal flood that occurs when you're exerting yourself physically, translated directly to my performance in school. And when I was faced with a difficult challenge in college, and school was never, especially early in my life, was never really my thing. It became my thing. It became easier, maybe in part because I found that connection. But when I was presented with an academic challenge, I could go back to what I just accomplished in the gym and drive myself further through that process and find success, which was a very important realization for me at that age, because like I said, when I was younger, school was a little bit more challenging. And then when I was able to find that anchor in fitness and activity and connect those things, it gave me the wisdom and the ability to see through that stuff with some inertia that I could bring from the gym, which was a really profound thing. And I carried that all through my whole life. Like you mentioned, the fire department was the same thing. It's one of the reasons I love the fire department, because it takes those two things in almost equal amounts and puts them together. right? So you're very physical. It's very physically demanding. At the same time, it's very it's a very
Emotional.
emotional and cognitive event, right? When you go to a fire, you go to some emergency scene, it's physical. You're doing hard physical work, and you've got to really be aware of what you're doing, and you've got to do it right. You've got to be aware of your surroundings. There's a lot of stuff happening, and it's a wonderful blend of those two worlds in a very real time kind of environment, because everything that's happening on a physical level is preparing you for success on a mental level, and it's a really cool state of being when you're in that moment in an emergency scene, because you've got those things that are coming together in a way that you can't really describe, and you can't really do it on purpose, but you know that everything is working the way it should, right? You're amped up physically, and you're amped up mentally, and you're amped up emotionally, and that's, I think, from a humanities standpoint, where we were designed to be, right? We were designed to be out in the world doing stuff, hunting, gathering, fighting off predators, right? As cavemen, when it all started way back, that's why we were built this way. Because if that physiology didn't exist, we wouldn't exist, right? That's how we were put together. And when you understand that, and you can deliberately create that environment for yourself, it's very powerful.
Well, part of what I find really interesting is when you had mentioned the fact that you now have a word that you can put that feeling behind. And I think the only thing that's ever defined an experience where the ability to lose yourself in the moment, to have kind of this out of body experience and totally focused on something all at the same time is pretty powerful. And the only word that's ever been used is a runner's high, but that doesn't really translate into everything, and is not relatable to playing basketball or fighting fires. And I think part of what we've done so brilliantly is be able to really embody what everybody is feeling. You didn't even know it was called an endorphasm. So we've been able to create this brand that you and you and you equally understand. That there is something that happens. There is this amazing feeling that's allowing us to then experience life just a little bit differently. Sometimes maybe a little bit more connected. Sometimes it's a little bit more deliberate. Sometimes it's just a sense of power and acknowledgement of sense of self, of what we're capable of our capabilities just as humans, when we're able to kind of push ourselves on a different level. You said that you were able to make that connection when you're out on the field, and when you feel tired, you've been able to take that energy from taking a class that sometimes you're like, this seems impossible, and then you realize that you're more capable than you give yourself credit for, and you do it. And even though in the moment sometimes it kind of sucks and it doesn't feel great, but when you finish, you feel like, I just did that. And you channel that same energy when you're on the field. And what makes you such a different player, it's what makes you a different person. What makes you at 12 years old the ability to be a leader. I think it also gives you the ability to be compassionate on a different level. And I think it allows you to experience life a little bit differently than a lot of kids your age. And you're surrounded by greatness. You're surrounded by your grandfather and your father and myself. And we are people that take all the things that we do very seriously. And I think that they are incredible examples for you of what a man is, what a father is, what a grandfather is, what a person, what a human is. You look exhausted. Are you? You only spent 2 hours hitting golf balls.
That's right, and banging them
at
and
Top
hitting them
Golf.
well, and hitting them well,
If Top Golf wants to be a sponsor, we're more than
and
happy.
hitting them well.
We'll mention you over and over again if you want to be. So what do you think, what insight or what advice or what comments do you think that you could provide that, let's say there's another 12-year-old kid that's trying to figure out life and doesn't have these great examples before them, and they want someone who is relatable and somebody that could give them just a little bit of advice on that endorphasm mindset? What do you think you could say?
Again, all roads lead to endorphasm, so just do it and protect the house.
No, but just do
I
it
know,
and protect.
just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
I'm afraid Nike already has that, though.
Yeah, I said all. That's
Well,
exactly why I
his
said it.
his feeling is that
He's right.
without the endorphasm, there is no just do it.
Yeah.
So that feeling is what pushes people to just do it.
Yeah.
And so Under Armour and having protect this house, he feels that the reason that we protect this house is because endorphasm, what people experience, is what perpetuates them and what sets them on that trajectory. And the issue is, right, when people are able to connect to that feeling, because otherwise you're going through life and without any real purpose.
Banging around from side to
Right?
side, wherever it tosses
And you
wherever it's
are.
going. Yeah.
I mean,
you're just
there's I think at the highest level, let's talk about the Yankees, Grandpa,
going. Yes, let's.
because I know the Yankees are your team. Those individuals, you don't get to that level of playing, right,
Yes.
without a real understanding of your ability to push, to get uncomfortable, to connect with self
Under,
on that level.
under the toughest of circumstances.
Under the
sometimes.
toughest
You
of
get up
circumstances.
and
And
you-
by the way, for how many games?
162 games.
162
and you get up and you're a
games.
professional and you've risen to the top of your game, and you get up and you're striking out and you can't get a hit and you're striking out, and it feels terrible because you know you're better than that. And then you start to doubt yourself, and they keep going. They can't doubt themselves because this is what their life is, and they love it, and they want to perform. And they'll go. Sometimes they'll get 0 for 24, 0 for 35, and will I ever come out of that? And wonder if they won't. And then some smart, wise person says, yes, you will, because you've got the talent. You just have to believe in it and connect with that belief and be patient, but keep doing it. And they keep doing it. And all of a sudden, and there's 25 guys on the team, and they all have to be maintaining that level. Even though they're not performing at that level, they've got to keep trying to perform at that level. So it's a head thing, it's a commitment, it's a mental thing, as well as physically. They got to keep their bodies ready to go. And it's very, very hard for them to get past that rough spot, but then they do. And when they do, the next guy connects, and all of a sudden you're going to the championship. You're playing playoff baseball. And the Yankees, I'm proud to say and happy to say right now, are doing that this year, where they stunk for the first half of the year, but they didn't quit. They hung in there and they kept driving and driving. And sometimes I said, I'm not sure they're really putting out, but they were. I didn't understand. I'm watching through the TV and I'm somewhat removed. But they put it together. And I look at them now and I say, man, oh man, they stuck with it. And it made me
10
think,
straight games.
10 right now, 10 straight games. And it made me think of something else that you've been involved with me in the past in business. The Excellence Plus One program that I had when we had the business going. That was a mental thing. And now that you've got endorphasm and you've explained endorphasm, I connect all of that stuff together and say, if you got your mind in an Excellence Plus One mindset where no matter what I'm doing, I want to do it as best it can be done. Not as best as I can do it, as best as it can be done. So there's a competitive thing here too. I want to, and why do I want to do that? Because I want him to see me do that. I want him to see me do that. And I want to feel that I'm doing that.
What am I,
'Cause
chopped liver?
I want you to see me do it. But I mean, my son, my grandson,
I know.
I want people to look at me as I'm a winner. Now, so that starts out with maybe a different motivation. But all of a sudden, I work at that. When I work on Excellence Plus One, which I do no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm trying to learn the guitar, whether I'm skiing, I'm still trying to carve the turns better, I'm still working at it. Mentally, I want Excellence Plus One. And then the physical thing kicks in because I realize if I've got the physical piece working with my mind, I got a better chance of getting to that nirvana, that place that I just feel like I can do anything. I can help anybody. I can communicate with someone. I can convince people. I can help you solve this problem. Like whatever you need, I can do, and I feel that I can. But again, it's a mental connection. It's a physical connection, and it's so healthy and exciting for me. And as I say, and now as I get older and older, it's still wonderful that I can feel that. I love it. I just love it, and I'm happy that you've got this thing going because you explain it so well, and I it's a little more tangible to me. It's not so much of a mystery. I just like going to the gym, or I just like playing basketball. No. I just like the feeling I've got in it. It explains it a lot better.
Well, I wanna give you a little insight into when I was developing Endorphasm, the physical location, the gym in Richmond, Virginia. It's interesting because I really took the Excellence Plus One that you and I worked on together, and that I was really an honor to be able to take that, your vision of how people should operate every day. The fact that it has to be taught is sometimes a little sad. But so people say to me, why is your gym so hard? And so my saying is that
It's not
most of the world caters to mediocrity. And I'm not interested in catering to mediocrity. I'm interested in catering to Excellence Plus One.
Yep.
And what that is that an athlete that comes in off the street, or whomever it is, should have the highest level training available to them. That doesn't mean that somebody who's never done anything before can't. But if you're only striving for mediocrity, that's as good as you're ever going to get.
Exactly.
So will we modify? Absolutely we will. And we encourage wherever you are, we'll meet you where you are, but we're going to push you to be better.
Yep.
And if we were only pushing mediocrity, then where does that leave, someone like me, someone like you, someone like Carlo? They can go someplace else to get that. Endorphasm was built on the premise of Excellence Plus One, that we are catering to the highest common denominator, and that we will modify and meet you where you are, but we're going to push you for Excellence Plus One. So the whole mindset, really the feeling and the programming, when I made a decision that I want programming that exceeds what anybody would find anyplace else, because you can get average anywhere. But not everybody is willing to take that road and say, yeah, our programming is really challenging. And it's designed that way because we're not catering to mediocrity. We're catering to Excellence Plus One.
And you're doing one more thing. When you take people in your gym, for example, and you make adjustments to meet what they're capable of doing, you're building something in them where they attain that, they begin to believe that they can do it, which is the key. Because it's not so much that you're saying mediocrity is not acceptable. It's that they start to say, I can do better than this.
Right.
They feel that they've accomplished it. Now, they may not understand Excellence Plus One, but then they're surpassing what they've done before. How do they feel about themselves? It's wonderful. And now suddenly they got a spirit. They've got an energy. They've got something going that they didn't have before because you've helped them get past that point. I can't do this. I can't do that. I've never done that. I'm not capable. Bullshit. Yes, you are. And once you've done that, now you believe in yourself a little bit more. You can do anything. You can fix anything. You can accomplish anything. And that's what you do.
Well, that's exactly right. I've had his teams come in and do workouts, and they're like, this is really hard. But I asked them, I'm like, how do you feel after?
Right.
And we have a Hulk that is hanging, going outside the door.
Yeah.
And so I tell them after they're finished, I'm like, you should be looking at the Hulk and say, you want a piece of me? Because I just finished something way harder than what you could give me. And you should open up those doors, bust them open,
World, here I
hold
am.
your chest
Here I
up
am,
proud,
world.
and know that you have the ability to attack the day,
Yep.
attack the moment, to go on a path
And deal,
of life that you thought might be challenging, and realize that you are more capable than anything that you gave yourself credit for.
That's a wonderful
And there's a power in that, and that is the endorphasm, whether they know it or not. That is the endorphasm mindset. To be able to walk out of an hour class or whatever length of time it is, and to hold their chest high and to feel really good about what they did and feel accomplished, and to be able to channel that energy and go forth, whether it be a test, schoolwork, dealing with their peers, or whatever situation, to say, you know what? I can do this.
There's on our TV, there's a thing, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better.
Yeah,
There
don't
you go.
wish it were easy,
There
wish you
go.
were better.
Excellent.
And that's exactly what I
Excellent.
want people to recognize. Don't wish it were easier. Listen, life is not always as complicated as we want to make it out to be, but get better. Don't take the path most traveled because it's easier. Just do better, be better,
Besides, if you take
get better.
if you take that path with everyone else, it's crowded. When you go the other way, you
Make
find
your
out
own
you're the
path.
leader, and it's not as crowded, and people will follow. You'll be able to help other people.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thought.
There's a subtlety to it too that you haven't really. I'm surprised you haven't gotten to it yet, and that's the empowerment, that you empower yourself.
Yeah.
When you make the decision to get in there and do that work, it makes it easier to make other decisions that are smart and better. So when you make the decision to get in there, you get through the class, you do that for a while, it becomes a habit, it's now part of your lifestyle. The rest of your life is going to naturally benefit from that. You're going to make better decisions because you're going to recognize that you've been empowered. Oh, I made that decision. Look how I'm improving my life in this aspect. Look how it's making me feel. Look what I've done. Look at the change that I've affected. Let me start applying that logic to other things, and it just has a beautiful cascading impact.
And you almost can't avoid it then.
That's what I'm
because
saying.
Once you've done that,
Right.
the rest of the world steps aside and waits for you to do that some more. And you find yourself in that spot where more people are looking to you to lead that. And then if you can show them how to do it, now you've multiplied the effect, and other people are doing that. But you jump into those opportunities where there's the opportunity to excel, because you know you can do that. A lot of people shy away from it, like Erica says. They're thinking mediocre. You kind of automatically gravitate to that and lead, and other people see that, and suddenly you've got people following and benefiting.
It's particularly powerful for young people, and I'm very grateful.
Oh yes.
When looking back, I'm grateful that I experienced it. I'm grateful that I ended up in that gym and I had that shoulder issue,
Right.
and made those connections early, because when things get difficult, you know that you can center, right? You know that how did I get through this and deal with this last time? I went to the damn gym,
Right.
and I got myself through it. And you have that tool, right? That mechanism that you can employ to solve those kinds of problems now forever. And once you can put those two things together, it's a really important thing. And that's why I'm very grateful that Carlos spends so much time in the gym, and whenever he can get his buddies in there, it's amazing, because the earlier in life that you can make that connection, the better off you'll be.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Very
And
powerful.
he's always active, whether or not it's him working out in the gym, but the messages also that he gets from in there, right? You pay attention to the TV and the messages that I have there, because those messages resonate certainly with me. They are the messages that I feel are delivered to me because of the choices that I've made to empower myself, to be better, to get better, to take the path less traveled, to be an individual, to be confident. And by the way, and I've spoken about it before, is that I found true confidence when I took that first class in California, and I really made the connection of what I was capable of doing and what my body was capable of rather than focusing on the aesthetic. And I have channeled that energy my entire life since that. And it has been incredibly powerful. And I really did. I meant it when I said it that day when I had gotten home, that feeling, not only did I want to be able to experience it for the rest of my life, but I wanted to somehow empower people to feel what I felt that day. And that's how we've also transitioned. And I realized a flaw in the healthcare system, which is the healthcare system is designed to treat the disease, and it does not really treat the individual. And if you empower the individual through movement that same way, it has a tremendous positive outcome. And because it changes the mindset of the individual, and it is so powerful, and it gives people a sense of hope. So you don't even have to be diagnosed with anything or dealing with anything. If you go in with that mindset, it is powerful and allows you to handle situations that you wouldn't otherwise be able to handle. But if you're in that situation, to be able to have that is incredibly empowering, and it will change people forever.
Yeah, I agree. It's heal thyself. You have the power to heal
Yeah.
yourself. Even if you're not sick, heal yourself
Yeah.
in many different ways.
For sure.
You have the power as an individual to heal yourself if you believe that you can do that.
Yep.
Now, whether it's a serious illness, or whether it's a test I have to take, or whether it's a team I'm trying out for, whatever it might be, you have the power internally to get yourself to that level to accomplish that, and you can do that just with the mindset and the
Yes.
empowerment that you're talking about. Yeah, it's wonderful that you've managed to get this into a conversation. You've managed to get this into words and have conversation about it. Because some people find some of this and don't quite know what it is, and consequently can't build on it and can't make it consistent. They just experience it and say, I wish I felt like that again. And they don't. And they don't know, man, it's just in here. Just feel like that. Go do it. Get yourself moving. Go do it. You're putting some meat around it. You're putting some words around it. You're putting some logic around it. It's terrific. I enjoy the conversation very much because it as I say, it puts into words things that I've experienced, things I've believed in. Because to me, there's a lot of spiritual stuff here. That's how I feel about it. It's stuff that from when I was a little kid. My mother drove it into me. If I got a 98 in a test, she'd say, "How come you didn't get 100?" Now some people would say that's terrible. You're never satisfied. No, she drove me. That's where excellence plus one came from, and I'm so happy she did that. So happy because it's had so many beneficial things for me, and I'm so glad you're doing this because it has beneficial things for me right now. It's terrific.
Thanks, Grandpa.
Oh, so thank you.
What else?
Any last words of advice? Wisdom of your 12 years? Wisdom of your 50 years?
Yesterday, 50 years.
Thought we were past that.
You
Thought we were
are.
done talking about
You
that.
are past that. One
Yeah.
day. One day past
I
it.
thought that was.
You're 50 and
we moved
24
on
hours
from that
old.
topic, Erica.
Well, I think that there's a lot. There's certainly, even at whatever age we are, we have room for growth. We have room for improvement. We have the endorphasm resonates in all of us, whether we're, Grandpa, how old are you?
I am 80 next birthday.
Whether we're 79
That's what I am.
or we're 12, the endorphasm lives really in all of us. Wow, you're more energetic even when you sleep.
But he did hit a lot of balls today. But he sure did do a good job.
So, with that, love, health, and happiness, and always much respect. Thank you.
Here.